and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, August 19th, and I'm your host, Katie Seastead. It's great to have you with us as we end another week here in Norwood. Norwood High School graduate Andrea Vaughn was in the area recently to promote her second published book, Victoria and the Big Brave Breath. She stopped by NCM Studios to sit down with Jack McCarthy to tell us all about Victoria and what Andrea has been up to since the last time we caught up with her.
Victoria and the Big Brave Breath teaches kids mindful breathing to help them with their worries. And so the reason I wrote it was because I've always wanted to write a children's book, but I didn't know which angle to go. I wanted to create something that could be like a resource for our families and schools and even mental health practitioners, and something where it was empowering kids, you know? And so I also wanted to write something that would be the book that I needed when I was a kid.
Okay, good.
You know, and so I dealt with a lot of worries and anxiety growing up, and there's so many mentors and teachers and yoga instructors, everything that have taught me so many lessons and techniques about mindfulness and just regulating your emotions. And so I also saw just this rising need in our kids to have more of those tools as well. So I wanted to merge them, you know, and kind of give back a little bit.
So give me the 101 version. What is mindful breathing?
It is really breathing on purpose. It's, you know, we automatically do it, thankfully, or we wouldn't be sitting here. And mindfulness is really just being thoughtful about your breath. And there's so many different ways to do it. But it has saved me in so many situations, like before interviews or things like that when I'm anxious or different scenarios. And it's just focusing on your breath in different ways that helps ground you and center you and helps regulate so many emotions and stress.
Thanks, Jack and Andrea. Victoria and the Big Brave Breath is available for order on Amazon. Cannot wait to see the big things Andrea does next. This summer, we experienced some record temperatures for a long period of time. The country is also experiencing a countrywide drought. Our Norwood resident and weather expert, Joe Delicarpini, explains some weather patterns that has led to this record-breaking summer.
Everyone from the National Weather Service's Boston office located in Norton, Massachusetts. We're here today to talk about the heat and drought that has kind of dominated the summer of 2022 here in southern New England. Just to introduce myself, my name is Joe Delicarpini. I'm one of the meteorologists and the Science and Operations Officer at the Boston Weather Forecast Office, also a Norwood resident. So I'm here to take you through a look at kind of the prevailing weather pattern we've had this summer, and a little bit of a talk a little bit about the heat and the drought in particular. So when we talk about kind of the typical jet stream pattern that we see for heat waves, I kind of show it to you here. There's always some sort of a very large high pressure, and this is located up at about 18 to 20,000 feet in the atmosphere. Those are kind of where our steering currents are for things like high and low pressure, or cold fronts, warm fronts, those sort of things. And it's this high pressure that kind of cuts itself off from the main jet stream. You can see in this diagram the main jet stream is kind of across southern Canada here, and we've got a high pressure center that's kind of cut itself off. It's located over the Plain States. So this is called a blocking high pressure system. It's pretty typical in the summertime, and you know, depending on where it sets up will tell us where the hot weather is going to be. So usually it's in one of three areas. One is can be off the East Coast. That's known as the Bermuda High, which you may be familiar with. Sometimes it's over the plains like you see here, and other times it can be over the Rockies, and that's when we tend to see a lot of drought and forest fires across the western third of the country. Now I'm going to show an animation here. This is actually the jet stream pattern that's pretty much prevailed this summer, and you can see we've got that blocking high pressure system. Was largely over the Rockies and the Midwest for much of the summer. But this is, you know, looking at the August time frame when we had that very long spell of hot weather. You can see eventually it starts to migrate east. It's covering, you know, pretty much large portion of the continental United States. We're kind of on the edge of it, but you can see the wind flow comes out of southern Canada right around that high pressure system. So it's pumping actually hot air up into Canada and back down into the United States. And this is really the reason why we went through that extended period of 90+ degree temperatures, especially in August. This just lasted for several days and finally broke a little bit as we got into the middle part of the month. Now let's talk a little bit specifically about Norwood. I'm going to show you some temperature and rainfall data from the airport, which is where we keep our official data for the town of Norwood. What we're looking at here is a graph of temperature from about the early part of June through about mid-August. So these bars represent the high and low temperature. The high temperatures are at the top, the low temperatures are at the bottom. As we start into June, we're pretty much in the normal range, which is defined in this yellow shading. What you're looking at for the red curves are kind of the record highs, and the blue is the record low. So you can see we're pretty much in that yellow band or the normal range for most of June, with a few exceptions. And even into the first part of July, there were a few hot days mixed in. But we really see the hot pattern emerge from about mid-July. We had several days closing in on 90, and then most recently in the early part of August, where we had about over a week of above average temperatures. So you can see, the summer overall is going to end up most likely being above average, but it really was that mid-July to mid-August period where we really turned on the heat. And you can see above here on the chart, we so far through about the middle of August, 20 days of 90 plus, or 90 or higher high temperatures. An average Norwood sees about 11 days in a given summer, so we're already well above that. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a few more as we head into later August and September. And just as a bit of a trivia, what was our hottest day? Well, it was July 24th, when the airport hit 100 degrees on the century mark. So definitely been hot for the past few weeks. Now, when we look at rainfall, no surprise, it's well below normal. The curves we're looking at here is normal rainfall is in this brown curve, and the actual rainfall is in the green line. And you can see, starting off in June, we were close to normal, even a little bit above, and then we really started to dry out for about the middle of June onward. You can see the green line, which represents, again, our observed rainfall, is well below what we should be seeing for this time of year. And actually, the departure is getting greater and greater as we got into the later part of July and August. So since June 1st, we've only had about 4.25 inches of rain. That's up into mid-August. Normal is almost double that, or a little over double that, at 8.95 inches. So yes, we are well below normal. And it's really been the combination of the dry weather plus the heat that's really caused a lot of issues as far as lawns, gardens, flowering plants requiring almost daily watering. Just the heat, again, the combination of the heat and the dryness has really led to that. Fortunately, our larger water bodies like the Quabbin Reservoir, which supplies water to Norwood, still in pretty good shape. So that's why we really haven't seen much in the way of watering restrictions here in Norwood, while our neighboring towns have had complete water bans in place for a few weeks now. So we're talking about drought, and yeah, no surprise, this was a map released on August 18th. You can see much of eastern Massachusetts, Rhode Island, even a portion of eastern Connecticut are in what's called D3, or extreme drought. So on a scale of essentially 0 to 4, we're getting toward the higher end of the scale now for drought conditions, with only D4 kind of left. But much of southern New England is in that D2, or severe drought category, and even some of the neighboring areas, even though they've had a little more in the way of showers and thunderstorms this summer, even some of those areas have been abnormally dry too. So, kind of the outlook as we head into late August, September is really for this to persist. We're not really seeing much in the way of signs of getting a really wet pattern in place. The one thing we'll have to watch for as we get into August and September, of course, the tropics. A tropical storm, a hurricane, or even remnants of one can certainly bring a lot of much needed rainfall to the area. So, but overall, the weather pattern seems to be like it'll remain about the same for the next few weeks. So that's a quick summary of our look at the heat and drought for summer of 22. Again, my name is Joe Deli Carpini. You are welcome to contact me. My email address listed there if you have any questions or comments. And again, just looks like a continuation of a warm and dry pattern as we head into September. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back with a few updates from the Rec Department.
The 2022 Norwood Summer Concert Series is in full swing at the Town Common. If you are looking for a nice summer night outside, just bring a chair and enjoy the free music. On Sunday, August 21st, there will be a carillon concert from 2 to 3 p.m. featuring George Matthew Jr. And at the Sunday concerts on the Common, the Oberlander Hofbräu Band will be performing from 6 to 8 p.m. On Wednesday, August 24th, the Summerfest concert will feature David Tessier's All-Star Band from 7 to 9 p.m. If you can't make it to the concerts, they will be rebroadcast on Norwood Community Media. Special thanks to the concert committee members and all of the sponsors for their generous support.
Last week, the Recreation Department wrapped up another successful year of camp, but we're moving right on to the next thing. The Fall Guide is now available, and with some great new programs added to the list, you don't want to miss it. Program Coordinator Sam White has all the details.
Hey Norwood, Sam White here. Just wrapping up the summer. Thank you for everyone for coming out and enjoying our summer camp as well as some of our summer programs. We are wrapping our mindset around fall. The Fall Guides just came out. You should have received one in the mail, or if you did not, we do have the link online on our website that you can check out our new programs that are coming out. Registration does begin on Wednesday, August 24th at 8 a.m. and we hope that you can find something for you and the whole family.
The Farmers Market has been in a full swing down in Norwood Common every Tuesday this summer. It runs until October and has many vendors to choose from.
Love being here. The customers are fabulous. The managers are great. It's overall a great experience for us. The drought has been brutal for sure. We definitely have lost a lot, but we're still growing and hopefully things will still be producing through the fall, and it's a little bit of a slow go, but we're getting as much as we can and trying as best as we can. We'll have a lot of squash, some root vegetables. The tomatoes are slow this year, so they should probably continue through the fall, assuming that it stays warm enough. And whatever is in season and ready to pick, we will have here weekly.
In government, the Finance Commission met last week and received reports from both the school department and general government on grant-funded positions. Over the past few years, the number of grant-funded positions have increased, and Mr. Mizuko spoke to the need for a framework to evaluate grant-funded positions.
What the federal government does is they have a standard framework, and we're trying to build one along that for what you can take for benefits in fringe. But what we haven't done yet that we'd like to do possibly over the summer into the fall is sit down and then apply it to particularly all the different school grants that we have. The reason being, we wouldn't want to say, well, our policy is that you pay, at least the equivalent of a single plan for a health insurance plan. Then we find out that there's 4 or 5 existing grants that don't. An example of that is the Drug-Free Communities Grant, actually. We're not going to all of a sudden get rid of these grants and cancel them out. But we'd like to come up with a framework that we want to meet if we can. And then going forward, it's sort of how we would look at any grant that's paying for a benefited position. So we just make sure that they go through some sort of an approval process. I've always told people, if a grant's going to pay 100% of the benefits and 100% of the cost, we're all for them. Assuming that you have an exit plan, and we always make sure we have an exit plan. But when you don't have it's paid, you do need to start asking whether or not it's worth it, whether it's something we want to do. How does that factor into sort of our financial arrangements? If the town can only add 2 positions in a year and we get grant funding, but we've got to add a benefit package that it doesn't pay for. Well, wait a minute, is that counting against that? And just factor into our financial planning. Now, the Drug-Free Communities Grant, as an example, and that's Impact Norwood, by the way, that was Aubrey. She has left for another position.
Karen Sheridan, the school business manager, presented the end of the year report and talked about ongoing concerns.
And again, on the sped transportation, right now, sped transportation in my mind is the greatest area that I have a concern for, because we have to get some vans in. We have a lot of vans that are very old, and with the increase of the transporting of them, they're getting a lot of miles on them. So I'm really hopeful that we can get these minivans in. The other thing is we need van drivers. So anybody out there that needs a job, please come down and see us. Just come on down to the office. You can fill out an application.
The commission received a number of other reports and plans to meet again in September. Monday afternoon, the middle school building committee met. The committee received and voted upon the recommendation of the selection committee for the construction manager at risk. Before the vote, Compass Management project manager Brian Jarvis spoke to the recommended company, W.T. Rich.
And then of the 4 that we interviewed, I think all of them are qualified to do the second project. And I think it comes down to how do we think it fits as part of the project team, as part of the overall project, fits with the town. And it was close. It was really close. There was a lot of pros, especially with a couple of the higher ranked firms here. And I think at the end of the day, Rich's approach to the project, kind of understanding the dynamic of the existing school. They did a lot of homework. even doing pickup and drop-off lines and things of that nature. The way that their team was staffed or proposed to be staffed through the duration of the project. Their fee was competitive. It wasn't the lowest, but it was very competitive overall. The percentage actually was pretty low on their fee. That's one thing that we cannot negotiate. So once we kind of accept whomever we would accept, we'd have that fee all the way through. And W.T. Rich was right there as one of the lowest fees. So overall, I think a whole combination, and also their perspective of kind of, at least in the interview, I think it came through for the committee that they took a very owner-centric approach to the project as far as thinking about things like parking for the staff and how do we make sure that school is minimally impacted as much as possible. How do we potentially give the owner more time to move in at the end versus maybe kind of coming at it more from a construction perspective. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Paul, or anyone else, but I think overall that's kind of how it shook out.
The committee voted unanimously in favor of the recommendation. The meeting continued with an update of the timeline of the project and what is ahead. The Middle School Building Committee will meet again in September. At the Conservation Commission meeting Wednesday night, Susan Pisano of Geo Insight represented Home Market Foods to file a notice of intent with the commission. The plan is to construct and install a wastewater treatment tank on the property. After discussing the possible wetland impact, the Conservation Commission decided to continue this hearing to the next meeting pending further information from Geo Insight and the Home Market Foods. For complete government coverage, tune into NCM Government Channel or watch on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org.
You're watching Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Jen Murphy Conley owns Art and Craft Salon on Central Street. On this week's Living Local, NCM visited Jen and her salon.
Jen Murphy Connolly owns and operates Art and Craft Salon. She opened the salon located at 50 Central Street nearly 11 years ago.
So we provide services for a whole family. So we do kids cuts as well as men's, women's haircuts, color, you name it, we do it. So whether it's fashion vivid colors, highlights, traditional root grade touch-ups, a combo of all of those. I think that's where we shine the most as a colorist. That's what we like to do. Our anniversary is coming up in November. It will be 11 years that we've been open. I started in 2010. I started in a little single 100 square foot suite and slowly grew into the place that we are today on Central Street.
Jen is proud to be a small business owner in her hometown.
So my connection to Norwood is because I was born and raised here. My family, half of my family were police officers in this town. I feel like it runs thick with me. And when I first started looking for salons, to be honest, I didn't pick Norwood. I didn't want everyone knowing my business because everybody already knew my business. However, when I did start my business here and I started looking for a bigger place, I realized what an amazing community that Norwood has and that I just wanted to be more a part of that. So when I started looking, I actually told her I don't want to look anywhere but Norwood. So I think I'm here to stay whether anyone likes it or not. So
Jen loves cutting hair, but above all, she prides herself in her relationships with her clients.
We're family. I go through weddings and babies and funerals and all the ups and the downs, and they kind of do the same with me in my life too as well.
And she enjoys helping other young professionals begin their careers.
I actually love inspiring young stylists. I love sharing the knowledge and information that can help them become amazing stylists, just like I was taught how to become an amazing stylist. And to see people have those light bulbs on and be able to make their clients feel amazing, that just makes me feel good because I feel like I was a part of that. Our theme is have fun. Have fun and be creative. I mean, the name of the salon is Art and Craft Salon because it's the artistry of what we do, but our craftsmanship of what we create behind the chair, but have fun doing it at the same time. I think that's what we all enjoy.
Art and Craft Salon offers a wide variety of services and products for all hair types.
Art and Craft Salon is located on 50 Central Street in Norwood, Massachusetts. Our phone number is 781-352-4442. You can book online or give us a call, and our website is artandcraftsalon.com. We're also on Instagram at Art and Craft Salon, and on Facebook as well, same name.
Thanks, Jen. Remember, living local highlights businesses around town. Keep up with Norwood News to learn about other small business owners right here in your neighborhood. Chief Hayes is encouraging individuals interested in pursuing a career in Norwood Fire Department to apply to take the 2022 Municipal Firefighters Written Examination. The exam is scheduled to begin on October 24th with an application deadline of August 30th. More information about the application can be found on the state website, mass.gov. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood News, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Penny from the Senior Center who watches every Friday night. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a great weekend.